I'm here in Douglas to launch the FT's special report Doing Business in the Isle of Man. The island has been a huge international success as a business centre over the last 25 years, but like many other places, it faces big challenge from the global financial and economic recession. We came to discuss this with more than 100 members of the island's business community. Thank you very much for coming. Welcome to this breakfast event to launch the FT's Doing Business in Isle of Man supplement. I'm Brian Groom. I'm the FT's Business and Employment Editor. For me, it's the Isle of Man, for all its success in the last 25 years, it's a small island in a big world. We're in the middle of a global financial and economic storm. And I'd interested to know how you think it's faring so far. Perhaps Philip, do you want to have a kick off with a view?
Certainly. I'm an accountant, so really my view comes from our clients. And the recession certainly has affected our clients. We've got lots of clients who have got shares. They're very depressed at the value of those shares. We've got clients who are property developers and they're struggling to find finance. We've got clients who are property investors and they're worried about their tenants not being able to pay their rents. So the rest of the world is affecting our clients, but I don't get the impression that the economy on the island has as yet been damaged as bad as the rest of Europe. A lot of people quite worrying, waiting to see what's happening, but at the moment I think we're in the storm quite well.
Thank you. Courtney?
I see the same thing. In terms of innovation, we're based out of the Innovation Centre down near the airport. I've seen half a dozen companies that we've met through there. Some we may get involved with, some at early stage where we're sharing similar problems. So I don't see that dying off quickly. The other thing is, about 3 months ago, we were asked by the DTI, would we like to be involved in a consortium of new technology coming to the island? We said yes. There was a key company missing from that relationship, and by luck in the UK about a month ago I stumbled across them. They've been to the island, and despite the sort of weather we've had recently, both the guys who came are looking to bring their wives here next trip. One of them's wife is expecting, and it's now questions about schools, not can I go somewhere warm, but this really has something once you come here. So there's still innovation, there's still people coming here in the worst recession I think in 60 years, so there's life out there.
Certainly, obviously speaking on from the gaming industry's perspective, so far the industry's proved to be recession resilient, thankfully. That's not to say that won't change in the future, but for right now it's fared very, very well. I think that mirrors what the island has seen. I think when you look generally around the island, I certainly can't see any major indications that the island is suffering greatly. I've recently bought a house, and I can tell you genuinely that house prices certainly aren't suffering. So as I sit here, I think the island has fared particularly well.
There are loads of partners out there, and there are lots of people we do business with, and the UK is only one of them. They pay us some money, but there are a lot of other maybe opportunities. Going on to ask that question, I suppose I've asked it really, is what is the Isle of Man government, and we can't blame the government, they're our leaders, looking to do to deal with that?
The security, the general quality of life, the standard of our public services have become a major attraction now to bring people here. In terms of the relationship with the United Kingdom and Europe on a wider front, I think the period we're going through at the moment was inevitable at some point. It's almost like a stage in growing up, that we're moving further away from the family in that sense. The UK have been reviewing a lot of their arrangements. The VAT agreement obviously is one of them. The health agreement is another, and I'm sure they'll be looking at their relationships. But we mustn't think this is just with the Isle of Man. They're reviewing their relationships with a lot of the small jurisdictions, the Channel Islands, the Caribbean countries, overseas territories. This is a necessary process, I think, that was inevitable with the financial turmoil and the financial crisis that the UK itself is facing. So although it is giving us problems, obviously, in the short term, it is something which I think we will benefit from in the long term, because we'll be more self-sustainable and we can stand on our own 2 feet.
Thank you very much. Ian Bancroft from Cayman National Bank. There's been a lot of talk earlier about international engagement at a macro level. I'd like to ask, I guess John and Courtney in particular, but from a corporate perspective, Is being based in the Isle of Man a help or a hindrance, and do you expect that to change in the short term?
I guess it's, in reality, in terms of is it a help or a hindrance, it's actually neither. It's, it's one of those things. The Isle of Man, as I said, is regarded as a Tier 1 jurisdiction, and it's just that. It's, for us, it was a place to come because it had a regulatory environment for online gaming, which was important. And then in terms of it's a AAA rated jurisdiction, so from a financial perspective, it's a solid place to have your funds. I think we've seen other gaming companies, they have come to the Isle of Man ahead of their AIM listing. So again, if you're looking to go public, it's a good jurisdiction to do that from. So to go back, it's neither a help nor a hindrance in many respects, but we just regard it as the right place for us.
It ticked several boxes, but it started by actually ticking the box of the chairman who wanted to move here from the States in 2006. He'd won a Manx here in the 80s, so a long link with the island, but he wanted to get his daughters educated in a safe, well-educated area. He chose the Isle of Man, so they're at school here. From that, we then met our finance director, and he's ex-Strix, and they are very good, in fact world-class, at the value chain and controlling the value chain. So the component I'm holding is patented now in China, but we've extended those patents through the island. And some months ago I met the Space Minister, and when I showed him this, he said, well, you do know we're doing an IP review of the island. So from that IP review, we've met the lawyer concerned, and we know we can control the value chain through here. It's a first world jurisdiction, so legally, in terms of value, the tax is another benefit, but it's not the driver. It was lifestyle first, home-work balance, and then from that we've got now shareholders that are very happy to be both on the island and have their profits controlled through the island. So it just ticks those boxes, and there's no looking over your shoulder. It's very good on those balances.
Emma Allard from Hamlin Employment Group. With regards to attracting global talent onto the island and then retaining global and local talent on the island, obviously we have the work permit issue. What can be done about that?
The work permit obviously attracts strong views on both sides of the divide. For those who want to protect Manx jobs and encourage jobs which are being created to be used just for Manx people, there is a belief that the work permit should be more stringent and we should restrict people coming in. My view is somewhat different, though. I do believe the work permit has a role to play in the overall balance of the economy, but where we need to be careful is in the strict adherence of the work permit to those senior executives who are essential to the growth in the economy, to establish new business, to establish existing or enable existing business to expand. We often need these key people to come in, and by bringing in those key people more easily, they in turn will help to generate more jobs within the success of that business, hopefully, which then will be available for Manx people, for locals. So I think we've got to be very careful how we utilise this. In the main, it works reasonably well, but there are problems if there is an overzealous use of that. Government is currently looking at reviewing the whole application of the work permit system, and I think the ultimate outcome of that will be a fairer reflection of the need to encourage new entrepreneurs, new key executives into the island more easily to enable that business to continue to expand.
Philip, you advise people on tax all the time. How important is it these days to decisions about living and investing in the island, and how damaging could it be if taxes were to go up?
Well, that's a difficult question without knowing what's going to happen. Minister Bell's right, isn't he, that losing between 100 and 140 million out of the economy is going to be a big shock. We have got to look on the bright side and take it as an opportunity to make sure the government's more efficient going forward, to take something positive out of it. But there is no doubt that either the government spending less money or taking more tax out of people is going to affect the economy of the island. So there is going to be a hit that we're going to have to live with. As to the effect of taxation on the economy, all governments have this choice, don't they? It's obviously tempting for a government to tax people more so they've got more to spend, but do it too much and you make your economy non-competitive. And Our government knew that already, but we've reminded them, so I'm confident we'll get to somewhere that is still as competitive as we were before.
So thank you very much for our distinguished panellists. I thought it was a really interesting discussion, and thank you all for coming. Thanks very much.